In this episode, we look at the Sabbath. Point number 1. God's final message is a call to worship the Creator. Revelations 14 verses 6 to 7 says, "And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water." Point number 2. The basis of all worship is the fact that God created us. Revelation 4 verse 11 says, "Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created." Point number 3. Jesus is always the same. Ephesians 3 verse 9, "And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ." Point number 4. We worship our Creator by keeping the Sabbath. Exodus 20 verses 8 to 11 says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." Point number 5. God set the Sabbath apart at creation by resting on it. Genesis 2 verses 1 to 3. "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 7th day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all the work which he had made. And God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he rested from all the work which God created and made." Point number 6. The Sabbath was given to mankind 2,300 years before the existence of the Jews. Mark 2 verses 27 to 28 says, "And he said unto them, The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath." Point number 7. The Sabbath was established for all mankind as a sign between God and his people. Ezekiel 20 verse 12. "Moreover also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them." Ezekiel 20 verse 20. "And hallow my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, that ye may know that I am the Lord your God." Point number 8. Jesus was a faithful Sabbath keeper. Luke 4 verse 16. "And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up for to read." Point number 9. Jesus predicted that the Sabbath would be kept in 70 AD. Matthew 24 verse 20. "But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day." Point number 10. Paul met with the whole city to worship on the Sabbath with Jews and Gentiles alike. Acts 13 verses 42 to 44. "And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogues, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Now when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of God. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of God." Point number 11. Paul met a group of believers in Philippi to worship on the Sabbath. Acts 16 verse 13. And on the Sabbath we went out of the city by a riverside, where prayer was wont to be made. And we sat down and spake with the women which resorted thither. Point number 12. The Lord has a special day at the end of the first century. Revelation 1 verse 10 says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. Point number 13. Since the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath, it must be his day. Matthew 12 verse 8, for the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. Mark 2 verses 27 to 28, and he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. Luke 6 verse 5, and he said unto them, that the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. Point number 14. Note the following 3 days in succession. Friday, the day Christ died, which is also called the preparation day. Saturday and Sunday. So we take the preparation day first. Luke 23 verses 53 to 56. And he took it down, and wrapped it in linen, and laid it in a sepulchre that was hewn out in stone, never wherein man before was laid. And that day was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on. And the women also which came with him from Galilee followed after, and beheld the sepulchre, and how his body was laid. And they returned, and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment. Point 15. So the day after the Friday, also called the preparation day, would be the Saturday. Point 15. Saturday, the day Jesus rested in the tomb on the day between Friday and Sunday. Jesus rested in the grave, while the followers also rested, waiting until the next day to use the spices and ointments that had been prepared for his body on the preparation day, which was Friday. Point 16. The Sunday, the day Jesus was resurrected. Luke 24 verse 1. Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came unto the sepulchre, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them. Point number 17. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13 verse 8. Jesus is the same yesterday, and today, and forever. Point number 18. In the new heavens and the new earth, we shall keep the Sabbath each week. Isaiah 66 verses 22 to 23. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. So in this episode, we looked at the concept of the Sabbath. God's final call is a call to worship the Creator. We worship the Creator because He created us. Jesus is always the same. We worship our Creator by keeping the Sabbath. God set the Sabbath apart at creation by resting on it. The Sabbath was given to mankind 2,300 years before the existence of the Jews. The Sabbath was established for all mankind as a sign between God and His people. Jesus was a faithful Sabbath keeper. Jesus predicted that the Sabbath would be kept in 70 AD. Paul met with a whole city to worship on the Sabbath, with both Jews and Gentiles. The Lord has a special day at the end of the first century. Since the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath, it must be His day. And we need to take note of the 3 days in succession: the Friday, called the preparation day, the Saturday, and the Sunday. Now remember that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And in the new heavens and the new earth, we shall keep the Sabbath each week. In our next episode, we look at questions about the Bible Sabbath.